Hello out there. My name is Tavia, and I am going to show you some awesome tech tools that you can use in order to continue to teach during this pandemic. First, since I don't have a class, I have to invite myself so that I have another person in this platform. This we're going to look a little bit at Zoom today, and we're also going to look a little bit at Jamboard. So first, let me share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. So now you would be able to see my screen, which shows all the different meetings I have. Wrong thing that I was trying to share, but that happens in the tech world. What I wanted to show you was how I'm inviting myself by going to this participants button down below. Let's see, I'm going to try it one more time to see if I can show that. Let's see. I guess I can't. Anyway, so I'm inviting myself on my other device. Give me 1 second. Let me log in over here. Now I'm going to have two devices with me. Okay. Well, I have to let myself in. And I'm going to keep that other one muted so that I don't get feedback. So now I have at least one imaginary person in this presentation. Okay, so some features with Zoom that you can use in your education setting is number one, the fact that you can talk and see your students. You also have the ability to mute their mics. So if their atmosphere is really noisy, you can mute their mics, and you can actually kick them out too. You can kick them into a waiting room. So if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or there's something not going on with them, you can always make sure that you um, can move them from this space. What I really like about um, Zoom over one of its competitors, the first one that I used to use, which was Google Hangouts and Google Meets, is the fact that we have these breakout rooms. So let's pretend you have 20 kids and you've just given them this wonderful topic to work on. You can send 4 in this room, 4 in another room. You can have 5 different breakout rooms with 4 kids in it, and they are able to collaborate and work together. Another feature, I don't have enough people to show you right now. Another feature is the polling feature. With the polling feature, you can ask a question and you can find out how many people agreed or disagreed with that question. Let me see. Um, I don't think I really have enough people here for us to show the polling feature, but it's a great feature. And another thing that we will often do in class is we have this what's called a waterfall. Let's say you just happen to ask what's 2 plus 2? And you know the smart kids got it like this. But you know some kids need some think time. So, we can use the chat for people to answer. However, we don't want the fast people to answer before the other people have a chance to think. So one of the strategies that we use is we say, okay, we're going to do a waterfall. And you're not going to put your answer in the chat until I get to 0. I'm going to count back from 3, 3, 2, 1, 0. And that's, oh, I'm sorry, let me back up. You can write your answer in the chat, but you don't press submit or send until you get to 0. And it kind of looks like a waterfall because all of these answers just come in almost instantaneously. And then you allow for your students to have think time. With the chat, you can set it up where the students can participate only with you as the instructor, or they can participate with one another. So Zoom is a fantastic technological platform that you can use in order to host your distance learning instruction. You can talk to your students, they can see you as you can see me now. You can record it and they can see it later. You can have polls, you can have them answer questions in the chat. You can break them into groups and work in breakout rooms. Fantastic tool. But that's only one of the tools I want to show you today. The other tool I want to show you is called Jamboard, which I basically just learned yesterday. I've seen other people use it, but I decided that I wanted to try something new specifically for this presentation. So I want to show you Jamboard. I'm going to move to my other device for that. Okay, I forgot to mention that with Zoom, you can also do these nifty virtual backgrounds. So on one device, it has the virtual background capability. On this device, it does not, unfortunately, have that. And so you can kind of see my office behind me. But on your more robust machines, you can add these great virtual um, backgrounds. Okay. We can also stop videos when we want to focus attention. We can stop the video. But I want to show you Jamboard. So let me find my screen here. And I created my very first Jamboard. Jamboard is an extension tool with Google. So you don't have to buy anything extra if you have Google Suites. And I wanted to show you how, give you an example of how you could use Jamboard. So using technology to improve lesson plans, Tavia Harrigan, EAD 523. So I just did this Jamboard in, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes. So you don't have to spend a lot of time doing it. And what is it? It's a digital whiteboard. So I want to do a lesson now that would target English language learners. What could I do in a distance environment using a digital whiteboard in order to assist English language learners? So I said I could do something similar to a VTS activity. I could present a picture and students could go in and I could ask a question like, what do you think about this? What do you see in this picture? When do you think this might have been? And in their journals or on the chat, they could answer these questions. Something also that they can do, which I find really exciting, is they can draw on this. I could say, pick the person that has a blue cap, and they could come and they could use the little pen and they could literally identify that person for me. Isn't that neat? And they haven't ruined the picture because we can just take and erase. By the way, on Zoom, you can annotate on the Zoom screen as well. I have that feature turned off because kids will play with it. But just as an added, you can annotate on the, so if you had a passage up and you wanted kids to, let's say, underline all of the verbs, they could do that. So let's look at this activity that I have here. So let's pretend that I have more kids here and I send out this Jamboard and I say, on a sticky note, write your own title for the picture. Well, guess what? They don't have to go and get actual sticky notes and stick on their computers. We have this thing right here that are sticky notes. So I'm going to say the pickers. And I can put that in any of these colors and I save it and it becomes a sticky note. Now, simultaneously, all your class can be putting their ideas around this picture. And let's just say somebody said the pickers, someone said harvesting. Then you could say, hey, if you really like someone else's, put a check by it. Let's see how many get checks. So then they can go up to the pen. I like this one. And then we can count how many. So now I'm getting English language learners or any students to think about what they're seeing, to start putting words together without the formality of having to put in whole sentences and all of those things, because sometimes we need to have students actually think about what they're seeing before we go for those larger literacy skills. How many discussions can we have about this? Where do you think they came from? What time frame? What's your evidence? Do you see a lot for them to harvest? Is there a little? And then maybe I might reveal to them that the name of this picture is The Gleaners. And it's a famous picture. Who drew it? When? Where? Why? Then we might could go on to another slide where we have now 2 pictures. And maybe now we're more advanced. Maybe we're on a different day. Maybe we built a vocabulary bank. And we bring in another picture, another famous picture. Write a comparison contrast for these 2 pictures and tell which one speaks to you the most. Maybe they might recognize now that there's a big difference between those who harvest at the beginning and those who might glean at the end. And we can do a whole vocabulary lesson. So this digital whiteboard is just amazing when we're looking at our distance learning. And notice, I set this background, I made it black because I wanted it to really pop those 2 pictures. But, oops, I'm working on the wrong one. But you can change the backgrounds. You can even add your own picture and make that the background. So let's go back here. I could maybe put dots, or maybe I could put a grid, or even a gray grid, kind of like that. So what you can do with this Jamboard is just endless. Between Zoom and Jamboard, there's just a ton that you can do to, number one, engage your students. get them thinking, get them interacting, get them writing. We know that it is really important for students to have an opportunity to reflect and collaborate. Um, this tool allows for that to happen. Um, we also know that it's important for any type of learning for us to get their attention. This tool allows for them to do that. So I just wanted to present to you a little short snippet on using Zoom in order to address your students and some of the gadgets that you can use for Zoom, and also a quick look at Jamboard. And like I said, I am by far not an expert with Jamboard, but I have just determined that even though I'm not an expert, I'm going to even start using this with staff meetings when we want to solicit feedback. I'll be able to say, well, what do you think about, put a Post-it on here, and we can compare with each other's thinking. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation on Zoom and Jamboard. Good evening.